Hey everyone, I'm live here with Chantal Cox from Create a Life You Love. Welcome, Chantal.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
So my first question that I always ask people, and I forgot to put your name up there, my first question that I always ask is to tell us what you do and how you help people.
Yeah, so I kind of have a variety of things now. I'm an author, a speaker, and a transformation neurocoach. And I help women that are experiencing life transitions just really create a new vision for themselves, reconnect with their passion and purpose, and turn that transition into a powerful transformation. Basically, reinvent themselves.
I love it. Okay, so you have to tell me more about the Transformation NeuroCoach thing. That's new.
It is. um, yeah, so throughout my journey, things just kind of like come to me. And so I wrote the book, and then people read the book, and then somebody asked to hire me. And I'm like, for what? And I'm like, I'm not writing you a book. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, to be my coach. And I'm like, what? I'm a teacher. I'm not a coach. Like, get out of here. And then worked through those limiting beliefs, and then did a lot of research on various types of coaching certifications. And then met my now friend and mentor, Dr. Shannon Irvin. And she has her PhD in neuropsychology and has created the neurocoaching method. She's very passionate about getting it out, and she can only serve so many people. So she takes small groups of cohorts to go through her very intensive coaching process to become certified in the neurocoaching method. And then I went on to become a master certified neurocoach. And then because I focus on transforming and transformation in people's life, I've combined it together, and now I call myself a transformation neurocoach.
I love that. So what exactly is the neurocoaching piece?
Yeah. Oh, I love talking about this. So um, I knew that the things I wrote about in my book and the things that I did in my life for my own transformation, I knew they worked, but I didn't know why. I was just like, they just do.
That's
I'm
a good
like,
point. Yeah.
just start a gratitude journal and good things happen. It just do it. Don't ask questions. Just go forth and conquer. Right. And now I have a much deeper understanding of what gratitude does in our brains. And I understand how, we call them limiting beliefs. In the neurocoaching model, we call them automated negative thoughts, or just automated thoughts. They're not always negative,
Yeah.
but we are taking messages in from the outside world constantly, and our identity and beliefs and core values are mostly solidified around the age of 7.
Oh, wow.
And so things that you took in when you were 7 are now guiding the results that you are getting as an adult. And 90% of our actions are driven by that subconscious mind. And so this
No pressure on parents at all with
right.
that one.
I know, it's terrifying. But it's not just the parents. It's, you learn at school, and I'm an educator. I know you're a former educator. You have to raise your hand. You have to have permission to take care of your basic needs. Just little things like that now as adults, we need permission. Like, I have this idea to write a book, or start a business or a podcast, whatever it is, but I need like outside validation. I need permission to do it. And so really it hones in on those automated thoughts and beliefs, and you work through a system, and we literally rewire the neural networks in your brain. And it's just amazing.
That's
and just
exciting.
so I know, I love it.
I can feel your energy and passion from that. So, okay. So you gave me a very slight background as far as you weren't expecting to be, an entrepreneur beyond, writing the book and selling the book. So can you give us a little bit of background into you've developed that entrepreneurial spirit a little bit more in the last couple of years? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. In my younger years, I kind of was drawn to entrepreneurial things, but I'd already made up in my mind that I'm going to be a teacher. So I really didn't put a lot of stock into it or look into it or anything like that. And then about 7 years ago, I left an abusive marriage, and I had to completely rebuild myself and my life. And I did that by picking up my first ever self-help personal development book. And then I was just went down the rabbit hole, right? Reading all the books and listened to my first podcast. And then I'm listening to all the podcasts, and I'm getting all the information. And I'm like, where do I start? What do I do? This is crazy. Like what? And so as I started finding, okay, well, like 10 people have talked about a gratitude journal, maybe I should try that out.
Mm-hmm.
And my internal thoughts were, eye roll and who has time for that? And how in the world is that going to help me? Like these people don't know anything. But there is a piece of my conscious mind being like, really? Because they have a book. So maybe they know something. Like maybe you need to get over yourself and try it. What's the worst that's going to happen? And so I had a complete personal transformation, and my friends and family are like, who are you? Because I'd always struggled with depression, anxiety, very, very low self-esteem, just very like scared of my own shadow, wouldn't go do anything on my own. My comfort zone was extremely small. And now all of a sudden I'm on a dance team and I'm traveling and I'm performing and I'm jumping out of airplanes. And they're like, who are you? And how do I do some of what you've done? And so I reflected on what I did, and I kind of narrowed it down to 10. And then I wrote my first book, Create a Life You Love, 10 Healthy Habits to Transform Your Life Now. And it is part memoir, part self-help. So it goes through my struggle with that habit and then a your turn section. So the teacher side of me, has to come out and give the actionable tips and strategies and worksheet and all the things. And then I really thought I would get that out in the world. And it was very healing for me to kind of process through some of that stuff. And then I was like, if one person reads this and it helps one person in some small way, it was worth it. I had been looking at doctorate programs. I'm like, I don't really want another degree right now or more student loan debt. So I was looking for that challenge. And then the idea to write a book just was there. And I thought that'd be it. Like, yep, okay, I wrote a book next. And Wichita is amazing, as we all know. And local businesses are reaching out saying, can I host a book signing for Final Friday? Can I do? And I'm like, I better Google how to do a book signing. Like, that wasn't on the radar. And then people who had read the book are coming to book signings and asking to hire me as a coach. And I'm like, you're a crazy person. But through process and progress, eventually got out of my own way. And here we are.
Oh my gosh, we really are our biggest, naysayers, aren't we? A lot of the time, it's like, even if you have support from friends and family, you're, in your own head, and that's part of what you're doing is helping people dismantle those thoughts that are getting in their way. So talk a little bit more about the passion driving you in the work that you do now.
Yeah. I kind of have two because we kind of evolve. So initially the internal passion that was driving me was that my transformational journey, it was messy and it was overwhelming and it took a long time and it was hard. And I didn't have any, I'm just like reading all these books and they're all saying different but similar things. And I'm like, which one do you do first? And well, they've got 3 different methods to do that. Which one is right? And it just was blah. So once I kind of figured out, okay, this worked for me, it's in a book, and then people are reading the book and they're like, hey, this is working for me. I'm like, really? And then partnered with Shelly Moore, a fellow Hive member, and we did a group coaching kind of tour around Wichita with the 10 chapters, and it's working for them. And I'm like, okay. So my passion became really helping women going through some type of life transition that really wants to transform, cut through all the BS, get rid of the overwhelm, get through the muck and the mess, and just get to your transformation already. Because that in its own, there's a lot of work and, healing and everything that goes through there. So let's focus on that instead of trying to decipher all the things, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then as I got there, now I'm also becoming very passionate about, I was still kind of hiding my story and didn't really, I'm like, no, let's just talk about the habits and like really glaze over that, abusive marriage, anxiety, depression thing. And now I'm just like, no, stop it. Like, we need to address the elephant in the room. We need to, not normalize, but like really bust through that stigma because I felt so isolated and alone. Yeah. Like I was the only person to ever experiencing those things. And it wasn't until I heard others sharing their story that I was able to see a light at the end and see hope and see that this doesn't have to define me. And so now that's my kind of secondary passion, is
I love that.
being that light and hope for others.
I love that. That's so true. You just don't even know until you start to hear other people share their story and talk about it, and it makes you feel less alone. So that's so true. Well, what have been some of the biggest struggles since you've launched your book, or challenges that you faced on your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh gosh, so there's a lot. And I could pick one and go kind of a little in depth, but really you could take any of those examples and bring it down to the biggest challenge and struggle was getting out of my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And you do it once, I write the book, or first, I leave the marriage, and then I've got to rebuild myself and figure out, who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? And that made my comfort zone a little bit bigger, and that grew me. And then I want to write a book, and then all the thoughts come back up. Like, who are you to write a book? Who's going to read your book? You don't have anything to say. That book's been written 10 times. Like, you're like, whatever. And so then working through that, and then it's just one thing after another, leveling up, and opening new doors and opportunities. And so my biggest challenge and struggle has been learning how to get out of my own way and be open to things as they come,
Which I love that that's what you're getting to help people do now, get out of their own way through their brains, rewiring that. So what do you feel like makes you unique in the way that you approach, both writing your book and the coaching and consulting that you do now?
Yeah. I think, what I bring to the table and my lens and stuff, just my life experiences, everybody's unique in that way. And then I bring in the educator side of me. I've got a master's degree in curriculum instruction. And I'm currently a trainer for the state of Kansas. So I have a lot of experience training. So I bring that aspect into, I know how to help adults learn. I know how the adult learning brain works. I also know how the child learning brain works. I can take seemingly hard concepts and narrow them down into actionable and implementable steps that are easy to understand and not overwhelming. So that, and then obviously kind of the neuroscience piece of it, of, I did, part of my transformation was affirmations. Affirmations are amazing. If you're not doing them, go do them. They're great, right? But they can be broad, generic, I am statements. I am worthy. I am loved. I am whatever. Fill in the
gap. If your brain doesn't believe it.
Yes. So through my method is really targeting, because both of our brains might be telling us we're not worthy, but the actual words that are automated are different.
Yeah. You're not actually saying I'm not worthy.
Right. You're not telling yourself I'm not worthy. You're telling whatever is coming up. So it's really narrowing down, figuring out what those actual words that your unique brain is saying, and then deciding, is that serving me? And if it's not, what do we want to replace it with? And then go through the process. And in 60 to 67 days, you've completely grown a new neural network, and the old one has died and gone away. I just see those little things on Little Mermaid when Ursula turns the people into the things, and they're that neural network is gone.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. And when you have been in an abusive or toxic situation in the past, you just become so conditioned to saying these things to yourself in your head that it's so subliminal. You don't even realize you're doing it until you start to, like you said, look at it and see what those actual words are that you're saying. It's so automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, you've got a lot going on. You still have your day job too. So, what does work-life self-care alignment look like for you?
Yes. Full disclosure, this is something that I've struggled with and probably will continue to struggle with as I go through my journey. So if you find yourself struggling with it, allow yourself grace. But what I have really found works for me is delegating what I can. And I had to work through some beliefs of that, like hiring someone to help clean my house, getting groceries delivered, having a meal prep food delivery service. Those are things that my brain was saying, well, you should be able to do that. So many shoulds and all the things. And I had to look at it and be like, is that serving me? No. So get rid of that story and hire someone, hire a VA, hire whatever. So delegate what you can. And then the things you can't delegate, just really look at your calendar. And if it's not on your calendar, it's not going to happen. So you even like with tonight's Thursday from 7 to 9 on Thursdays, my calendar says date night. Because if I didn't have it scheduled, I wouldn't do it. I have when I wake up, when I go to bed, like when I turn off electronics and start winding down for the evening, everything. If I imagine what does my ideal life look like with having a business and having a full-time job and a social life, I get to map it out. And so now I've taken my weekends back. I've taken most of my evenings back. I only work 3 evenings a week and 1 Saturday a month. Whereas before it was, I work evenings and weekends.
Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. That's such a teacher life, isn't it? Yeah. No, that's good. Such good boundaries. Well, so you've been a Hive member for a while now. So how do you feel that the Hive has helped you personally and professionally?
Oh, like the Hive is magical and you are amazing. I'm so blessed that I got to meet you and some of the other bees when I did. I was very new. I just like released the book and went to a women's conference, entrepreneurial conference, and met you and Deronda and a handful of other ladies. And you guys were so welcoming. You let me sit at your table and invited me to the Hive. And the second I walked in, I felt like I was at home. And then from then, like a few days later, you were celebrating the 1-year anniversary. And I just really got plugged in. And like I shared, Shelly Moore and I did that 10-week group coaching program together. The connections, the collaborations, and the support. I'm coming from educators and they don't think like entrepreneurs. So when I'm at work and I'm talking about the things that I'm doing, they're looking at me like I have a third eye or something. They're like, who are you? They're like, why would you spend your evenings and weekends doing that? And like, why do you seem excited about it, you weirdo? And so when I found the Hive, I'm like, I found my people. You speak my language. You understand me.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. And I found that with, partners and families too. It's like they just don't get it in the same way that other entrepreneurs do, other women that are focused on, growing their own businesses. So what insight would you give to somebody who is at the beginning of their entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, I love this question. So definitely just take messy, imperfect action. Done is better than perfect. Your website, your book, your course, whatever it is you're working on is never going to be perfect. So just get it out there and then tweak as you go, and get out of your own way.
I love that. That's so true. That's really is at the end of the day, the biggest problem we all have is just being so funny. So how can the bees help you, first of all, and then also, anything you have coming up that we need to know about?
Yeah. Right now, I'm really focused on moving from the one-on-one coaching to the group coaching so I can really scale my time and be a lot more intentional. And so I've built a team and we're ready to go. And so if you know anybody who you think, or if you or anybody you know thinks that they might want some more information about this weird neurocoaching thing that I do, connect them with me or reach out to me. And then I'm also really focused on growing my podcast, the Create a Life You Love podcast. And I love connecting with thought leaders around the world. And so I'd love to feature some bees. So if that sounds like something you would like to do, reach out. And if you have something similar, like a Facebook Live or a podcast or IG Live, YouTube, whatever it is, and you would like to do a podcast swap, I love those as well.
Awesome. Love that idea. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with us today. And you have an awesome rest of your Thursday and great weekend.
Thank you so much, Andrea. You too.
Bye, everyone.